So my name is Alana Mitnick, and home for me is in the beautiful Ojai Valley. So I discovered yoga at the age of 15, and I was at the gym, and I walked up the stairs, and I walked into this room, and there were people doing yoga, and they were in their 60s. And the teacher, Beverly, I remember she was in this one-piece unitard with a belt, and it was an Iyengar class. And here I am, 15 years old, and I remember there was a moment in the class where she said, "Watch your breath." And the moment she said that, it was this experience of consciously watching and noticing my breath for the first time, and that experience changed everything. And it was that experience at the end in Shavasana where I tapped into this part of myself that was just completely new and fresh and magical. And so I continued. Every morning before high school, I would drive. As soon as I got my license, I would drive and practice each morning before school. And then I continued practicing through college. And there was a point where I was in transition and I was looking for a place to call home, a yoga studio. And I walked into the door at Lulu Bandha's, and Ryder was there, and it was instantly home. And I walked into the studio, and there were yogis who were tapping into their own alignment and feeling the yoga blossom from within. And it was this whole new experience of yoga and of feeling connected to community and myself. So I felt a connection working with seniors and elderly from an early age on. And I had the opportunity to be with my grandmother at the age of 12 as she was passing. And that experience was so profound in my life, and witnessing her process and aging and dying. And my sense is that has informed my own practice and in working with seniors and elderly, and being comfortable with looking at bodies the way they are without trying to really change them, just feeling really comfortable with the role of witnessing and being of service. And there's from that experience with my grandmother, there's been this deep well of compassion in working with older people, older bodies, and this deep love for just being with them in their process of yoga. So I just completed 3 days of graduate school at Pacifica, and I'm studying counseling psychology. And I have this deep kind of aspiration to weave counseling, psychology, therapy with hospice work and with yoga psychology. And so I'm taking the dive and driven to go back to school to explore that in the depth tradition of psychology. Okay, so poetry, some of my favorite poets, so many. Mary Oliver is one that came to me at a young age, as well as Pablo Neruda. And Mary Oliver just continues to sweep me away into the world of imagination. And I love what she evokes is this wild passion and fierce, attentive listening and observation. And so I find myself going to her for guidance and for inspiration, and to remind me that I am wild in nature, that we are wild, and to also sit still and listen. So good friends on the path is essential. It's been essential on my path. It's a continual reminder of practice, a continual reminder of just the ability to witness each other and remind each other that we're human, and to give each other support and offer our love, and in the spirit of community, in the spirit of I wonder what's going to happen in the spirit of not knowing and entrusting the process and the practice. So it's been absolutely essential in my growth and in my life. So I'm so grateful. I couldn't do it alone. I have so many amazing teachers and mentors in my life, human and non-human. And one of my greatest teachers is the natural world and being in nature, being in the wild. And there's something kind of mystical that can happen when I'm out there that just completely brings me to a place of quiet connection. And it's kind of beyond words, but yeah. My relationship with the ocean is more than I could ever speak of. When I'm at the ocean, it just the wild, unpredictable nature of the ocean cools me, meets me, surprises me, enraptures me. And it's medicine, it's my teacher. Yeah, it's, I don't know. I know when my practice is working when I'm surprised by myself and my behavior, when I have more room and capacity for patience, both with myself and with others. I know my practice is working when when the thought patterns are quiet and there's a softening that happens inside, like a melting of the holding and the tension or the gripping. I know my practice is working when I feel like a genuine flow in my body and joy in my heart. And there's an ease and a relaxation that kind of permeates myself and the field around me. In my experience, the key skills of a yogini is the willingness to really slow down and listen from this quiet, receptive place. And in that listening, there's usually information that arises. Okay? So the image I have is that of the ocean and this deep well of listening. And the image is that of sand and water and the churning and the sand rising and settling. And it's from that place of listening where action usually arises or emerges from me. And it can look like different things manifested in the world. For me, my deep calling feels like a calling for me is to be of service. And so the information comes usually just in time. But coming back to that quiet place of listening for me, is essential in my practice of being in the world and practicing yoga. So my advice for newer yogis on the path is just take one step at a time. And experiment. See what feels right for you. Finding ultimately to be your own teacher, but to surround yourself with teachers, mentors, friends, yogis that are really kind of in alignment with your own heart and what feels right for you, and to have fun with it. In the experimentation, and to track what you notice, like really track what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you're sensing. Tracking is essential and important on the path. For me, it has been. Yeah, that would be my advice.